This is another repair video on the Lumix GM1. It won't be as exciting as the one where I replaced the battery, but what I am going to do is replace the screen. And although it's kind of hard to see, I'm not sure if you can see this little gouge here. I'll try to zoom in and see if it's a little easier to see. Now, I don't know, that actually shows it pretty well. There's a gouge there, and there are some scratches on it. And what I did was with the repair screen that I got from China. Yes, I do buy things from China because it's reliable. Oh, there you go. See that little sort of like Z mark scratch? Yeah, getting parts for these from China seems to be pretty easy to do because that's probably where they're made anyway. So there are some surplus parts lying around. If you notice along the edge here, it kind of looks like that might be a screen protector that you could maybe peel up. I mean, I can feel an edge with my fingernail. The problem is I'm afraid to do it because if it really isn't, it could ruin this screen. And the screen itself works. It's just got a few kind of scratches on it. And I thought, well, what I would do is get this replacement from China and go ahead and replace that. That way I can keep the old one as a backup. And I'll show you what I got. I'm going to just kind of set the camera itself aside for a moment. Here's the screen that I got from China, and that is a protective piece of film. It happens to be over this one. Interestingly enough, it looks almost identical to the one that's on the camera, so I'm not sure, but what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and replace it and see how it works, and I'll at least have a backup that I knew did work, came from the camera. So we're going to get started with that now. If you remember, there are a few things that you have to do to get ready. One of the things I didn't really go into any kind of detail over was the kind of screwdriver that I'm using. I'm using a very small Phillips head screwdriver. The first thing we do is take the battery out. I take the battery out and the SD card as well, just so nothing's in the way. There is a screw here, and then there's a screw down here. And as you know, I always like to save my screws in something so that I'm not accidentally, putting them on the bench and then who knows where they went. So I'll do a few of these. And as I said, remember in the prior videos, I've said be really careful. The size counts in large amounts. So, and I'll immediately show you why. This little itty bitty one, you certainly wouldn't want to try to force one over the other. Now the service manual, does a great job of explaining the sizes for you. So if you get stuck or you've taken a screw out, during dismantle, while you're dismantling the camera, and then you go to put it back together and you have completely forgotten where that screw went, the manual has a really, really good size chart on every page that will show you. And now it's going to be in millimeters, and you might look at this one and say, okay, that looks, I have no idea how big that is. And you can always take a caliper and measure it if you want to. Of course, you know, it's not the easiest thing to do, but you can measure it. And that is about maybe 3 millimeters. I don't know, I didn't zero this. Probably should have zeroed it first. Yeah, it's about three millimeters. So that, you know, the guide tells you how long the screw is. So, you know, again, take care to make sure that you don't mar up the camera when you're taking these screws out. Notice this screw is not as long as it looks like it is, but it isn't. It's longer than the other screw is. Of course, there's a black screw in there because this is magnetic. To take off the back, which I've already done for the other video where I replaced the battery, I had to do a lot more surgery. Because I had to take this top off. I had to take off this ring, and because under this ring back here is a screw that holds the top on, but we're just taking the back off. So I think I've gotten all the screws to take the back off, and we'll see if that's the case. And pull this apart carefully. Always do these things carefully, because if for some reason you have left something in place that, you know, is going to stop you, don't go any further. You could break it. And I've seen parts. I've seen parts like the replacement screen, but I haven't seen parts like the entire back. I've seen the actual full cameras parts only, but you know, you don't want to get into that situation if you can help it. Okay, now if you remember, these are those tricky edge connectors, and you've got one here and you've got one here, and the way that they work is you flip them up. Now I'm just going to use my fingernail to do it. And this one has one here. Okay. Now I have released the back from the camera, which I'm going to set aside. Okay. Now I have not done this ahead of time, so I've got to take a look at this with you. And it looks as if, you know, because you've got all your controls over here, that's what this is for. And I think at this point, I mean, this looks, you know, if I set these side by side, sure looks similar. So, you know, similar enough that it's probably correct. So I don't know how to take this off. I don't know how to take this apart. So I'm going to carefully begin removing these screws. And these screws, I don't know anything about them. I have not looked at the service manual to check the screw sizes out, but I think, given where this is, these are, let me put those actually in something separate, because then just put it in a separate thing. I sort of segregate them based on the work that I'm doing. Okay, and then So it looks like this probably is similar to the other one that I replaced in the GM5. See these little tabs back here? They probably just hold it in. And then this might just pull out carefully. Never force anything. It might. Let's see. There's a tab here too. Yeah. So it might start on this side. Because whatever I do, this thing's got to come up, even if I had to take out this part first. This part would have to come out. The top has to come out first. So let's see. Well, looks like it is going to lift out, but it's not lifting out really easily. So I'm going to go off camera and take a look at this under magnifying glass, make sure that what I'm doing is not going to break it. Well, it looks like there's a tab here, like a little bit of a tab there, but it looks like it wants this out too. So I'm going to go ahead and take the whole thing because I think it may all come out at the same time. So sometimes these, yeah, that's what it wanted. So I'm going to set that down for a second. Look at the craftsmanship. Look at how nice that is. It's going to give me a chance to do some cleaning on it, which I'll do with a paintbrush, a very small paintbrush, just to make sure it's all clean. But what craftsmanship. There we go. That's why this was just not happy. It was part of the whole thing. Okay, now that we've got this, now clearly there's a piece to this. You know, this is the part that has to be mounted to this. So now I've got to figure out how to separate this from the display. And that might be easier said than done. I'll bet you it is. I wonder if it is stuck on it, like with adhesive. And that would not be great. So again, this is one of those things. Let me take a look at it more up close before I do anything else on camera. So there is some adhesive in a few places because you can see I can begin to peel it back. So I'm going to do this off camera for fear of breaking it while I'm trying to take a video of it. But I can see that it will separate. And so I'll have this back. I'll be able to place the new LCD in and then put this back on. So let me go ahead and remove this carefully off camera. There were just a couple of strips of double-sided tape on it that I carefully liberated from the back. Now if I compare these two, they seem to be very, very similar. Well, yeah, drop-in replacement similar. This does have an official part number on it. You know, from 2014. This has no part number on it, so who knows. So that did come off. I'm not going to put any other anything else on the back. I'm not going to put any adhesive on. I don't think that it's going to make much, if any, difference. So now what I want to do is go ahead and I'll need to go ahead and put this back in. I'm just going to, I'm dry fitting it so that well, dry, not that I'm going to do anything wet. Just want to make sure it looks like it's going to fit. Well, it looks certainly fine to me. And then, sort of holding that in place. I'm pretty sure that's got to go in like that, and then this has to sort of crane in and snap in around this. So let me see it, and this did have to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and set this in and just hold this back and put this back. And I think outside of anything else, I think that's the way it needs to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and put those little bitty that separate set of screws back in. Make sure everything fits. And then I'm going to take a look at the back again, just to make sure that the back is in good shape. And then we'll put the back of the camera on and fire it up, see how it works. And now that I have all of the screws in, they're not tightened down perfectly yet. But that's now, I've got my tabs set, got the back on, looks pretty good. This is ready to rock and roll, to get put back on, and then this will be the hard one to do since it hasn't been bent. The other one, if you'll notice, is bent, so I'll have to carefully just get that bent in place. So let me go ahead and finish tightening these. These are pretty darn tight in here. So I'm gonna obviously not torque them too hard, but okay, so that looks good. Now it's time to reunite the back with the camera. Since this one's already sort of bent the easy way, I'm going to go ahead and do this one first, since this one will likely be the harder of the two. And let me just kind of, before I complete the install of it, let me show you what you're up against. This is not bad. This is actually easier than the GM5. The GM5 was very, very hard to. I couldn't do that one on camera. But trying to do this so you can see it. This has slipped underneath this connector. Now, the part that actually connects is this. So if you look at the old one was like this, right? and it connected like this, right? So what'll happen is this will bend over nicely, I hope. So if you'll notice, I'm pushing it up these little tabs here. I don't know if I can zoom. Let me see if I can zoom enough that it will maintain some focus for you. That still might be the best I can do. But if you notice, see these little tabs, these are stops, just to get it lined up, and then you just flip that over. And now it's in place. We're going to do the same thing with this one. This one's maybe a little easier because it was already there. And it shouldn't fight too much to get it back in place. And by the way, if you do this and the camera doesn't function, the LCD doesn't turn on, you may just have not done a good job of seating it. This has a little plastic lip on it right here. So once that looks pretty good. I like to use my finger if I can to lock it down. And the reason is there's so many parts down here that if you use something metal, chances are you could dislodge something. Your finger's not going to dislodge anything. All right, so now that is pushed over, this one is. Now we're going to go ahead and very carefully put the back in place. Wow, let me zoom out a little bit here. I have a separate light over here that I use with my magnifying glass on it, and it's producing a lot of extra light. So because that needed to fold over a little bit, it's going to be maybe a little stubborn. Okay. I'll go ahead and put the SD card in. I'll put the battery in. I'll put the battery in the right way. I'll put the battery in the right way. Why isn't it going in? There we go. I don't really have the back fully on properly yet, so when I put the back on, okay, it looks like that fits. Okay, so let's turn it on. See what we get. Okay, well, I don't have anything on it. I don't have a lens on it right now, but I do have pictures, and they look pretty good. I don't know how well this works, but so far so good. So I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in, and then we'll give it a full test. And I'm just making sure that the fact that I had pulled the control panel off, that they're all working. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the screws back in and then give this a real shakedown. And of course, I do owe you the replacement of the screws, right? You should be able to see what I'm doing. So let me go ahead and do that. Here are my screws. And in case you didn't remember, some of the screws, which were different size, very, very long, like this black one, this long black one actually goes in here. no death grip here, just enough to make sure that it's in. That other black one, they had a little bitty black one, right? It goes way down here in this corner. Okay. Might as well put this back in. If you did notice, the camera did come up without any problem having to do with the clock, which tells you that the battery's working, which was a nice little triumph. I do have a whole bunch of batteries in stock too. I bought a whole bunch of the Panasonic batteries before they were discontinued from Mauser, so I've got plenty of those on hand. So if you're looking to do that on your own with the guidance of the video I had, let me know. I do have them available. And then we're putting all these back. So these are all the same screw. I'm just going to double check that they're good and tight. Yeah, these little GM series, the GM1 and the GM5, they're just wonderful little cameras. Fantastic cameras. Let's put a lens on this. Let's see what happens. This is the first version of the 20 millimeter, so it does hunt a lot when it's on autofocus mode. So we'll go ahead and turn this on. Yeah, it's hunting a lot. Let's see if I can get a decent picture. And let me get back to I've got some. There it is. Not of course the best picture of them all. Okay, so gosh, so funny that lens is so that's a pancake lens. It's the 20 millimeter Lumix. It's not the version 2. It's just the HO20, not the HO20A. But my God, look how much bigger it is than the camera. It's amazing. But anyway, that's not what we're here for, is it? What we're here for is the reveal. So what we're going to do, I'll put this on a better picture than that. And we are going to take, this is what Tecmone does with music. We're going to take the protective strip layer off. And there we go. So the new LCD replacement that looks like it is perfectly functioning. I will go back onto camera. Let's see, we'll do a display. Okay, so IA, it works. Remember on the GM5, I had to replace my LCD or the display because the button up here didn't work. But this seems to work just fine. Let me go back in here and we see if pinch works. Pinch works. So I suspect that the original factory where this was made, let's see, I can't read that. This is the Japanese model, so I don't know what that says, but it may say that it was made in China. And it makes complete sense to me that you would get replacement parts from Chinese factories. There would be no value in trying to bootleg something like this. So it makes sense to me that it was probably or is probably still stock merchandise for Panasonic Lumix. But there you go. Now it has a fresh smudge on it from me touching it. Which we will clean right off. And there you go. Brand new touchscreen. And I have my old touchscreen that was on this as a backup in case anything happens to this one. And I have to put the old one back in. So I hope this video was of use to you. I hope you enjoyed what you witnessed as you watched this. Certainly leave questions in the comments below. But of course, there's your lovely little Lumix GM1, quite possibly one of the cutest Micro Four Thirds cameras ever made. And of course, Panasonic says they're never going to make it again. So what a cutie. I love this camera, and now I love it even more with a repaired screen on the back. Thanks for watching.